Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at weather next 8 to 10 days in today's video, and then we'll have a look at CFS V2 for the weather through into June. So we've got this band of really wet weather in the east, or we've had it this morning. It's pushing in towards the Midlands and central southern England now. Still some quite heavy bursts mixing. There was some lightning with this across East Anglia this morning earlier on. That's generally gone, so it's losing its thundery potential, but there's still some quite heavy bursts of rain in there, and it'll gradually push eastwards very, very slowly through the Midlands and central southern parts of England through the course of this afternoon. I'll show you that in a second. Before I get on with the video though, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all the pages. Have a browse through the widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. And thanks very much for doing that. This video adds to most pages which own our content. When you watch them, they'll close back up again. It does help to pay for gaswebbiz.com. So, just starting off with this radar image from the Weather Outlook, you can see that the rain's turned a little bit showery across parts of Lincolnshire. It's a bit further south, perhaps, than anticipated. It's more affecting East Anglia, the Midlands, central, southern parts of England, and less so sort of Lincolnshire, Yorkshire, that sort of area. Again, some quite heavy rain is in there. There's bright colours, yellow and red colours indicate some quite heavy bursts of rain. So this is going to carry on very slowly, pushing through the Midlands, central southern England during the course of this afternoon. And there could be some flash flooding if we get a heavier pulse of rain developing, which we could do. So take it easy on the roads if you're under this band of rain. It's generally quite persistent, moderate rain, but a few heavier pulses certainly can't be ruled out. It'll all sort of die away this evening, and by tomorrow we'll just be left with sort of patchy rain and showery bits and pieces. So the worst will be over during the course of this afternoon. Having a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts for the next week to 10 days, we've got the ECMWF on the top, and the GFS, which we'll look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream. And that essentially is what weather is, a movement of air via the jet stream. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, and yellow, red, orange extrapolates to high pressure with these height anomaly charts. So this takes us to around the 9th of June, so into the first 10 days of the month. You see that we're setting up a trough of low pressure across Scandinavia, but it looks like we're still going to be under a ridge actually through most of this period. So a ridge to the east and a ridge up to the north as well, still northern blocking with the Atlantic, the low pressure that you would normally expect to be moving in from the west, generally being blocked as the flow does something rather like that. So it's a continuation of the pattern we've had really for quite a while. Going to be a fair amount of dry weather, I think, over the next week to 10 days. And it will probably turn warmer actually as we get through into the weekend and the start of next week. I think we will start to see temperatures beginning to pick up as well as the flow starts to move back in from off the continent once again. Eventually, by day 10, we might be starting to see the first hints at these troughs of low pressure in the Atlantic begin to break down this ridge. It's quite a long way off. It's only the first sort of subtle hints of it. But as we get beyond sort of the first week to 10 days of June, we might be starting to see the first indications of the ridge breaking and the Atlantic beginning to return. That's the ECMWF for GFS, very similar. So again, low pressure is blocked in the Atlantic with the jet stream doing something like that. A deep trough setting up over Scandinavia. It looks like it'll be unusually cool and unsettled for them during the first week of June. But for us, we remain under this ridge. It extends back to the main block, which is still sitting across Greenland and to the north of the country. So again, essentially the first week to 10 days of June will probably have a fair amount of dry weather, and then maybe the Atlantic breaking through as we get beyond the first week to 10 days. Temperature and precipitation ensembles looking like this. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. So we're above average today. You wouldn't know it in the east with this pouring rain, gale force northerly wind, and lots of cloud. It does feel very, very cold in the east, even though the upper air temperatures are above average. But I think as we go through the course of the week, and particularly into the weekend, we will start to feel the effects of these above average temperatures coming through. So it will start to turn warmer, I think, as we get through to the weekend and into next week. It's probably going to take quite a long while, because although the upper air, it's quite an unusual scenario, this, although the upper air temperatures are above average, the wind is generally from the northeast, so it doesn't feel that warm, especially in the east, but west does feel quite warm in the sunshine. Precipitation, well, this is the rainfall spike that we've got associated with today's rain. Once that's out of the way, not a great deal really for the rest of this week. A few showers coming through at times, but overall not too much. And then as we go through into the second week of June, which is sort of this area just here, it looks like the precipitation spikes are starting to come back then. Again, maybe indicative of the ridge starting to be broke down by the Atlantic. Temperature anomalies show that it's generally a little bit cooler than average for the coming week. So again, it's back to what I was just talking about. Although the upper air temperatures are above average, because the wind is in from the northeast, the actual surface temperatures generally a little bit cooler than average. Quite disappointing, really, given how warm the upper air temperatures are. Look about significantly warmer than average upper air temperatures, but on the surface, actually coming out a little bit cooler than average. That's very unusual, actually. You don't see that very often. It's the kind of thing that happens in the winter when you get an inversion. Which is under high pressure. You will be warm in the upper atmosphere, but down on the surface, because of the long nights and the way the heat radiates out to space, down on the surface it tends to get frosty and foggy and very cold. But in this time of year, in summer, you don't tend to see this very often, actually, that the upper air temperatures would be that warmer than average, but the actual surface temperatures come out a little bit cooler than average. So quite unusual developments really for the coming week. Anyway, potential anomaly for the coming week is generally a little bit cooler than average, although the west, away from those east to northeasterly winds, tends to come out a little bit milder than average. Precipitation, north-south split, so northern England, Northern Ireland, Scotland generally significantly drier than average. That's because we've got all the blocking cities to the north, of course. Southern parts of England generally coming out a little bit wetter than average. Here's the generic chart. So we've got the GFS first of all, and this shows that we've got an area of high pressure to the north of the country on Saturday. So still continuing with these east-northeasterly winds. That's the ridge city to the north. Low pressure being blocked in the Atlantic. The flow generally coming down in that sort of direction. So it's fairly warm air because of the ridge, but in terms of the upper atmosphere, but because the winds in from the east and the northeast, particularly eastern parts of the country, tend to be quite cool and cloudy. Go through to Sunday, the ridge starts to build down over the country, so that will allow more sunshine to come through. We'll start to lose that nagging easterly wind, and temperatures should begin to recover a bit as well. That takes into the start of next week with a lot of high pressure influences through the early part of next week, and because of the repositioning of this ridge, I think we'll start to see temperatures lifting up, possibly going up towards the mid 20s Celsius by the middle of next week. This is Wednesday the 8th of June, and because the temperature's around 25 degrees, 7% Fahrenheit by that point. Latest run of the GFS keeps this ridge quite dominant as we go through into day 10, which is the 10th of June. High pressure continues to cling on, and the idea is really to keep this ridge going for quite a while, actually. Eventually the Atlantic does break through towards the middle part of June, but that's a very, very long way off, of course. So going through to the ECMWF, and again, very similar for Saturday, all of that blocking still there up to the north around Greenland and Iceland. The low pressure is being blocked in the Atlantic. The wind flow is going rather like that, so although the upper air temperatures again are quite warm, because the winds are in from the east and the northeast, particularly eastern parts of the country, will tend to be fairly cool and cloudy. Beyond this, though, that ridge builds down across the country, so we cut off that easterly flow. With the warm upper air temperatures, we should start to feel the effects as we go through the weekend and into next week. This is Monday the 6th of June, with a ridge through the UK. I would suspect temperatures will be lifting up here with more in way of sunshine. And that continues into the middle part of next week as well. The ridge is there through the country and generally a little bit to the east, so that looks very pleasant. Again, you could see temperatures up to mid-20s Celsius with that, maybe a little bit higher. But as we approach day 10, this is Friday the 10th of June, high pressure then is weakening off as low pressure starts to come back in from the Atlantic. So that just is the idea I was talking about at the start of the video with the height anomaly charts, that we might be seeing the first hints by day 10 that we begin to break down this ridge and perhaps, just perhaps, re-establish the westerlies. Let's see what CFS V2 wants to do for the next month. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period takes us from the week we're currently in, the 31st of May through to 6th of June. And it's indicative of what you're looking at with the generic charts, where high pressure is blocking to the north, low pressure is down to the south, the winds are going in that sort of direction, so it's easterly, northeasterly, quite warm with your prayer temperatures on the surface, particularly in the east, fairly cool because the air is coming in off the North Sea. Week 2, the 7th through to the 13th of June, this keeps the blocking up to the north of the country around Greenland. But what it also does is starts to move this trough in from the Atlantic. So it is turning more unsettled here in the second week of the month. The Atlantic westerlies are starting to return and possibly bringing some quite wet weather in across the south of the country. Week 3 looks really quite unsettled indeed. This is the 14th through 20th of June. And we've got low pressure just out west and quite a deep trough as well, with the flow going rather like that. That looks pretty unsettled there through the middle part of June. However, the week 4 chart looks better. This is the 21st through 27th of June, going into the final part of the month, which is the Glastonbury period, and also Wimbledon taking place at this point as well. And it shows the ridge building from the south as the low pressure moves up towards the north. So this is settling down, especially for England and Wales, and looks quite pleasant with a fair amount of warm and dry weather as the jet stream starts to get pushed north by that ridge. That's a very long way off. The overall idea, I think, for the first week of June is probably going to be increasingly warm and a fair amount of dry weather. As we go through, however, into second week, I think the hints are there that the westerlies probably come back and it may turn more unsettled, especially for the south perhaps, with some bands of rain moving in off the Atlantic. Well, that's all for now. It's 5-day forecast tomorrow. We'll also have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre for the coming month, and we'll have Terry's June forecast as well. So come back for all that tomorrow. That's all for now, and thanks.